Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Thick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel here with Joel Elconin and Dennis Thick. A lot of ratings to discuss. That'll be the big story of the day, is just the sheer barrage of ratings, upgrades, downgrades, initiations we've gotten this morning. We also have Pepsi earnings we want to discuss and multiple drug results from Celgene. So that's going to be take up most of the show. Our guest today, Nic Chahine, will join us at 8:35 to give us his favorite option strategies for the day. Let's jump right in. Joel, tell us how the S&P futures are doing on this Tuesday morning.
In the green once again, up 4 1/4, 91.75. Your pre-market high, 97.75. That surrounds a good number. Your June 13th high at 96. That's your target on the upside. Pre-market low, 86 1/4. Your close at 87.5. So there's your target. See if you can go red on the day. That's your first area of support. Crude bouncing around pretty good, still doing a tug of war with the $74 level, up 27 cents at 74.12. Finding sellers at 74.28 and 44 ahead of the high of the move. Gold up one day, down another day, down today, $10.20 at 1249.40. Silver slipping back under $16, down 15 cents at 15.99. And Bitcoin down $342.50. Absolutely cannot get through the $6,800 level. This might be one of my best levels of all time, Dennis. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 highs at that area. So resistance is resistance. Triple D, as we know from the pre-market show, you're having a rough morning.
So I have mad dog syndrome here now, so I am biting. My bite is worse than my bark here right now, so be careful if you're listening to the show here this morning. One of those days I had been on a hot streak, I had been on a lucky streak, I could do no wrong, and today happened. So you knew that was going to happen. I'm just on the wrong side of a lot of ratings. So that happens. That happens. You take some positions home. You have good luck and bad luck. It's been working for me. I feel like forever I'd been in a hot streak where I'm like, I even, catching upgrades and stuff. Even last night, I was this lucky. I mean, I had this SFIX, a Stitch Fix long, and I had it long because there was a rating change after. I was buying it up, and I was paying up a little bit for it because I thought it was worth more. Then all of a sudden, Jim Cramer features it. It talks about it as like kind of a buy, so it starts really popping after hours. So I'm like, holy cow. This is even, this is just luckier too that all, just coincidentally, Jim Cramer features it positively and it starts going up too. Well, all the luck ended this morning because I came in here this morning. I got a big position. eBay, it's downgraded. I'm like vomit. So I've been trying to sell eBay all morning here. There's just no market for it. I don't want to sell all the way down to 37 because that's too far down in my opinion. But I was able to wiggle out some. I mean, I'm looking at the tape. And the majority of the sales you see on this tape are me. There's a couple other people sneaking out odd lots, but the majority of it is me just trying to work out of my eBay. So anyways, you do as best you can.
You got the Genghis Khan look going today, too. That makes you look even a little bit.
What's the Genghis Khan look?
Like with non-shaving and stuff. And
there's no time to shave today, Joel. This is in a fast market. I had the kids this morning. Then I'm trying to trade with the kids. Then I had to lose the kids. I'm trying to trade out of a million bad positions. Not a million bad positions, but the eBay one was a fairly sizable one. And obviously, and if stock's downgrade, it's a bummer.
Well, what about, maybe you're putting the pressure on the stock right now. Maybe you just need to let it breathe a little bit and see where the real bids and offers are.
Great point. And you let winners breathe. You don't let losers breathe. This is why I've been in business. This is a great segment. This could be an educational segment here too. You could pull this one. But when you are on the wrong side of the trade and you are on the wrong side of the trade, you do everything in your power to get out of that trade with the minimum damage that you can sustain. Sometimes you just know. I mean, I'm in eBay for an overnight trade. It's downgraded. You know it's going down. Now, what is a SunTrust downgrade worth? Probably 1% to 2%. So all day I'm selling that stock at if I can get out within 1%, I'm selling it all day long because the stat ARB says it's probably going down almost 2. It's kind of come into where its fair value is here now. So now I'm done with it. I'm letting it breathe here at 37.25. But when I can wiggle out of some at like 37.60, 37.50, 37.40, I wiggle. And I'll keep wiggling until I can't wiggle anymore. And it's not just me selling it. There's other people know what's going down. There's people trying to get short. So here I'm trying to get out of a natural long. There's people probably trying to get short because they know it's going lower. So the whole key with trading is I will say I do not let winners breathe. Or I do not let losers breathe. I try to let my winners breathe. The losers, I have very low tolerance for them, and I'm trying to work out of them as best I can. When you're in the after hours in the pre-market, sometimes there's no market. Sometimes you do. You just have to maybe let it go, and there'll be a market when the market opens at 9:30. It may not be the market you want, but you'll do the best you can with it. So in some cases, that is good advice. Let it breathe. I'll say when you know you're on the wrong side of the trade and you can get out or you can work it out and save yourself a little bit of money, do it. Save yourself whatever you can. Like when your stock is upgraded, you know it's probably going higher. When it's downgraded, you know it's going lower. Those are kind of no-brainers. In some cases, there's interpretation issues. In some cases, there's no market. And, now you're putting pressure on, you're making it look weaker and you're scaring people away. But when you see eBay downgraded today, everybody knows it's going down. I mean, there's no way it's opening at 37.90 or 37.80 or 37.70. Probably opening in the lower 37s because it was downgraded. So if I can work out of something, I did at 37. Some of those odd lots are me too. And then I worked out of a little bit more at 37.43. You can see me on the tape. Most of those trades, like I said, are
Triple D. I'll just Dennis thinks it's going to 37. I'll just alert our traders, investors that you do have a trio of lows at the 36.60 area. So that is potential support in the stock. Since it's not going up today and there's no chance of it going to unchanged.
There's always a chance later on.
Yeah. 37.91 was the close. Do you want to talk about some more of your losing trades, or do you want to do the Pepsi?
We'll just have a complaint session all day. Now let's go. This is the ratings party here. We're going to get to the ratings here in about 5 minutes because there's literally probably 50 to 100 stocks that have either an initiation or an upgrade or downgrade a day. The analysts came out of their slumber. They were all away on holidays last week, and they came out hardcore here Monday night and obviously Tuesday morning, upgrading and downgrading the world. But let's go to the Pepsi earnings here because we are getting a pop-up in Pepsi. No pun intended. Spencer, give us the details.
Oh, get it. Pop and Pepsi. Got it. Okay, Pepsi Q2 EPS $1.61 versus $1.52. Estimate sales $16.09 billion for $16.05 billion. So beat on the EPS, big beat, and a slight beat on the sales for Q2. The fiscal year 18 guidance is in line, or they reiterated, I should say, it is 4 cents higher than the estimate for the fiscal year, but they reiterated all their prior guidance. They can thank snack sales as the reason for this. Beverage sales fell 1% for the quarter, wasn't as much as a drop as people thought. And snack sales rose 4% for the quarter. Thank you, Frito-Lay and Cheetos and Doritos.
Good quarter. Once again, cautious chasing this because consumer staples fell out of favor big time yesterday. They had a horrible day. Pepsi was down. Coke was down. Utility stocks got slammed. There was just a lot of, defensive names that were really getting hit. It was a full risk on market, and money was coming out of stocks like Pepsi. Now, all of a sudden, money's flowing back in because they got a pretty good quarter. But what I'm saying is sold to you. I think this gets faded here eventually, maybe at the open. You have a couple tops at 111. I don't think this is going to be one that's going to be up 5 points here today. So it's up 3. It's a pretty good move for the stock already. The stock had fallen out of favor. The sector had fallen out of favor yesterday. So I think it's a gift. So in my opinion, I'm no position here yet. I'm still going to see what it does here at the 9:30 open. But if I see sellers start to, work in at 9:30 or start to even work in the pre-market, I will probably get on the short side of Pepsi. So I think I'm a fader of this pop. But it's holding up. 110,000 shares. It's given me no reason to enter a short here yet. The tape is telling me still there is buyers still in here, and I don't like to come in when I'm seeing new buyers come in yet. But I'm just, thinking it all through. If the real sellers come in after 9:30, be careful. So I'm leaning to fading this. No position yet, though.
111 did have a pair of tops that Dennis mentioned. The other two potential stopping points in the 111 handle are your March 20th high of 1130 and your March 19th high at 1199, right near a nice whole number. Coming back on the downside, you had struggled several sessions at 110, although yesterday's high to fill the gap is 109.30. So 110 support, and I kind of like it into 111 handle too. I don't trading 111 right. Yeah, 111. Yeah,
I'm tempted to start it right now, but I don't like initiating doing the live radio show.
Okay. All right.
So I'm leaning to short this though. That's where I'm leaning right now. No position yet. Just watching the tape still on it. Alert me if this thing starts, because we're gonna go talk about some other stocks. If this thing starts going under 110, somebody shout it out to me either on Twitter or in the chat, because I've got to do the show, so I can't keep an eye perfectly on it here. But I like this as a short.
Grant Wilkinson in the Google chat noticed a lot of laggard stocks moving yesterday.
Big time.
Yeah, big time.
Laggard day.
Yeah, laggard day. And you know what? The Bank of America is the one. There was a pair of highs at 28.20 and it opened there, and I'm like, oh, this is going to come into 28. This is going to be easy peasy. And it just opened up 28.22, 28.20 print, and it was at 28.60 before I even looked at it, and I didn't chase it. So that was one. It just got. The financials were strong yesterday.
Banks were strong. First good day for them in a long time. It was the laggard day. We talked about this yesterday on the show, saying they could have a good week heading into earnings. We get J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, and PNC Financial on Friday. Not surprising that they're starting the week strong. So some of that strength could continue into the earnings reports here. So I like these for trades right now from the long side. Long-term investment, not for me yet, because there's still too many unknowns. I know there's value there. There's a lot of unknowns there too. But for as a trade this week, I think the long side is the way to play them. And I'm a buyer of pullbacks on banks as swing trades on the long side, probably selling them before they report. So, we get a pullback here or whatever in JP Morgan or Wells or Citi. They report on Friday. I would probably sell them Thursday night before they report. That being said, these stocks, actually, there was a really good tape for them. And if they can, blow it out of the water, maybe that was the bottom. I'm officially off the bear train, though, in the banks. I'm not bullish them yet. At least I am for this week, but I'm off the long-term bear train here because that was the first good day.
Nice day yesterday.
We had a lot of laggards. We had a lot of rotation. Actually, money, believe it or not, rotating out of tech yesterday. There was a lot of tech stocks that were very weak off the hop. Some actually closed in the red. So it was just classic rotation. Rotating to the banks, rotating to stocks that had been hit on fears of the trade war. You saw Boeing catch a bid. You saw Caterpillar catch a bid. You saw Deere catch a bid. These were stocks that people were worried about trade wars, and those fears seem to be gone here, at least in the short term. We're going into a trade war, but the market doesn't seem to care as much anymore, as I said yesterday on the show. So I'll say it here again. Those stocks are back in favor here now. So I would say I'm a buyer of pullbacks on Deere, Cat. I'm a buyer of pullbacks on a lot of things. I would love a nice little trade war, headline here to knock us down, maybe 20 handles, and then they just come back in and buy them. But I would be buying that dip if we get another dip here.
What about Bank of America? I mean, I feel like I kind of missed the boat on it. Yesterday's move, that first 15-minute candle. I mean, wait for it to come back into the low, higher 28s again to reload. Because now it's over 29. You had a high at yesterday. What was yesterday?
I don't think you're going to get it, the shot.
You don't think so?
I don't know if it's because they report. This time to strike was yesterday morning.
I know.
And I wish I would have put them on because I wanted to be long these things going into these reports. And I thought about initiating yesterday morning. I didn't. And now I'm stuck here and do I want to chase and buy somebody else's profits from yesterday? Maybe. I think these things could actually have a 2-day move. I mean, this is geared up to make a run for 30. I think Bank of America could see 30 by the end of the week. So do you get a shot at 28.75, 28.80 before that? Maybe. But I think if you do, I think I'd take that shot. I don't mind these things if I get a pullback here now. I was looking for a lot of stocks to buy on the pullback yesterday.
And you didn't get it. So
now, on a few you did. I bought Snap. I had talked about Snap.
Oh, you did talk about that.
Yeah, and I've got it on for a swing trade, and I threw it in the long-term investment portfolio with a stop. It's not one of those I'm going to look at and It's got a little star beside it. I threw it in the long-term investment portfolio because I don't want to look at it. I want to hold some for a little while here. I will stop out below the 12, the low of the move in the investment portfolio trade at 12.66. The trade, I give it a lot less room than that, but I just like the setup. It's show in life. Angie, baby, I know is long. Good job, Angie. I bought it once. I sold it. I wish I would have held on to it because I just had to buy it higher yesterday, but I ended up buying around 13. I don't know, right around where it closed, like right in that 1365, 1370 area. It's up here at 1380 here this morning. It just, I like the chart. I think it's, back a little bit here.
I like
the setup here on Snap. I think it could make a run. And if it could get above the high, the next target would be above that high, 1447. If it could get above that, then it opens up to 16. I would love this to get to 16. I don't know if it's got the gas to get there in the next few days, but that's kind of my target on the trade is 16.
I assume you like the Amazon headline then from Snap. I don't know if you saw that.
What is it?
That they're trying to figure out a way to connect people on Snapchat to Amazon and shop via like the camera, essentially, like camera-based shopping. I don't really know how it works.
They're trying to do some things. You know why? The headline that I liked was a week and a half ago when, the market was kind of in the doldrums, so it wasn't getting any love. But I like that headline that they were going to try to get the gaming a little bit. So, and we know
that's right. Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of what sparked my interest there was, they're trying to get the game. I was like, that's a great idea. I mean, you got all these people connected. Now let's get them playing games with each other. That sounds like a business model that I can get on board with. So that's why I like Snap now, more for that headline. It's meandered here for about a week and a half, but it's starting to show life here as of yesterday. Market is obviously starting to show life here too. So that's why I'm interested in Snap. So I don't have a lot of swing trade longs on right now. We've ran a little bit too far, and that's probably why I don't. I was short originally. I'd covered. I'm glad I covered most of my shorts, at least the swing trade ones, and the day trade ones at 270, 271 on the SPY. Then we've run. So right now, as swing trades, I'm long two stocks, Snap and Tesla. And Tesla.
Oh, I want to talk to you. Is that Tesla getting near your target yet?
Not yet, but I'm up. I was only giving it 12 points, and I'm up 20 now. So I would say another 10. 340 is what my target was kind of in the back of my head. We're getting there. So now now, and this is how to manage winners. Maybe I've never been good at managing winners, so you can always help me out too, Joel or Chad, if you got a better way to do it. But what I typically do is when the stocks kind of move my way now, is I bring up my mental stop. So I was originally stopping out at 296. That was the low of the move. I bring that up here now. We're at 327. I would probably stop out now, probably where my break even was. I bought it at 308 just last week, just like 3 days ago. So I would probably, stop out now. I wouldn't want the winner to become a loser, but I'm bringing it up, and maybe you could bring it up to like yesterday's close to lock in some gains, and I'm locking in 10 points. But Tesla's a little bit of a wild child, so you got to give it some room. I would hate, pulls back and then just hits you and then continues the run here. But good news for me this morning. What is the headline, Spencer, on Tesla?
I guess they're closer to diversifying globally than we thought. They're reportedly close to or planning a plant in China with the capacity to build 500,000 cars a year that they may sign, according to Bloomberg, a memorandum of understanding today.
What is Trump going to think about this?
I don't know.
Are we going to get a Trump tweet about Tesla here now? He's not going to be pleased with Musk on this.
I could
potentially opening a factory over in China. I'm pleased as a shareholder. I think it's a great idea. If you can produce the cars cheaper, do it. So, you need production facilities. Let's produce a few in the U.S. Let's produce some everywhere. Let's get these Teslas rolling here. As a shareholder, I'm pretty happy about this headline right now. But I'm a short-term shareholder. I'm just in this basically leasing a Tesla here right now, leasing a Tesla stock and planning to sell it if it gets to that 340 area.
Hey, Dennis, 111.62 in Pepsi. I just wanted to
going up still.
Going up still.
Good,
yeah.
More money.
Okay.
I haven't initiated. I'm watching.
Do you want to hear?
Eventually, it goes up too much, then I don't think it's going down. So then I don't even do the trade.
Do you want to hear my potential theory for long-term bullish Tesla?
Yeah, give it to me.
Okay, so they're producing, all these really nice, expensive cars, right? I mean, I know they brought the model, whatever the latest model is, they brought down the price. Well, if they're honing their craft and they're able to manufacture these really fancy cars, right, which are a lot more difficult, then and this makes them better suited. So when they come out with like, when your Spencer turns 16 and he starts driving, there might be like a mini Tesla out there for like 18, 20 grand. That's if they don't have driverless cars. So maybe producing all these high-end cars is setting them up so that when they come out with the lower end, the more affordable models, boom, they got the production down. Good or bad?
They're trying that right now, obviously, with their newer model. They're trying to get, a lower cost model there with the model. What is it? The Model 3, the cheap one? I always forget. The 3?
Yeah, the 3 is a cheap one. I actually saw.
They're trying that.
I saw a Model X over the weekend, and it was almost like seeing a ghost. Like, I couldn't believe I was seeing it, like on the road, an actual Tesla. I never.
Why ghost?
I hadn't. I'm sure I've seen them before, but I hadn't noticed it really, and I was like, wow, they exist. Here's one in the flesh.
Here's one in the flesh. The story is still hot. People are excited when they see these cars, and they're excited to see the car on the street. They're still excited to buy the stock. So valuation makes 0 sense for me. It's not my long-term investment portfolio. It probably never will be at these valuations because I'm a value guy. It's not my style. And yes, my long-term investment portfolio has probably underperformed in the last few years, but I tell you, I massively outperformed in the down years because I was in value stocks that didn't get crushed as bad as some of these growth stocks. So that's the way my investment style. As trades, I love the growth stuff, too. So, that's why I'm in this for a trade. I'll rent, the stock here for a little while. I think there's room to 340. I think there's room even further than that. I think the story is still good. It's just a matter of valuation for me why I can't stick in my long-term investment portfolio.
All right, three pre-market high, 28.23. The big point on the dailies for me would be 332.49. That's your 4-day high on the day when it peaked there. It lost $4. I think that was the day we had Gene on too, and he gave some credibility to the bear argument. So 32.49, that is a high from July 3rd. Your close on July 2nd is 35.07. Just one stock for Larry Glickman here before we move on. Wynn looks like it's beginning a long recovery. Wynn Resorts, I know they got
upgraded today.
Did get an upgrade. All right, tell me about the upgrade, and I'll look at the technicals.
Upgraded from Stifel to buy, but they lowered their price target to 207. Also, I know that the executive, there's more news on that front with Elaine Wynn renewing her fight for more board seats in the boardroom. But an upgrade from Stifel this morning is the catalyst.
I hate this chart. On the daily.
I hate this chart. Why?
Why? Why? Because I'm not going to buy it and I'm not going to sell it.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. It gapped up yesterday, right? And traded maybe with the market. Now you're gapping up again to the 162.50 area. You got a gap. Well, it's filling the gap from where's the gap? You had a big old gap in the market. You had a low. 164.23 fills the gap. So I'll use that as resistance. Not getting interested on the long side until we fill the gap on the other side of it. And that brings it down to 157. So this is just, like I said, I hate this chart, Dennis. So you can take it away on this one.
There's nothing to say. It's in the middle of nowhere. So it got upgraded here today. Yes, going to trade higher here on the upgrade. 1.5 to 2% is probably what a Stifel upgrade is worth. So it's probably kicking around fair value. It's a big seller here at 162.51. Somebody dumping 19,000 shares. I think it can take him out and go a little bit higher. Maybe fill the gap up eventually. Here's a little gap in the chart there. What, to 162? Oh, no, it's filling it right now. They kind of already filled the gap. So I don't know. There's not much in there. So there's not much to say on this one. Coin flip stock.
I agree.
I think it goes higher here today just because it's upgraded. But market starts rolling over. This will start rolling over again too.
Okay.
A couple to others from the chat here. We'll get to the ratings too because there's so many of them. But who was it? Just talking about HUYA. Was it Ed Parker? Somebody in the chat was talking HUYA. They wanted to talk. Yeah, it was Ed. And HUYA. He was saying, does this go to $36? I could see it. You got to hurdle 35.53 here first. It had a nice day yesterday. That was finally a nice candle. First good day for all of our stock, all of those stocks that we were traded before. HUYA, IQ, SOGO, the other one, and BILI. They all had a pretty good day yesterday. they're all kind of hanging out here this morning. Could you get the 2-day move? Sure. I think you're under resistance just above 35, though. So now if you're buying it, you're kind of late to the party because I think there's only about $1 or $2 left in it. And, then the jury is still out. People are going to think, oh, this could go back to the highs. It's not going to be easy sledding because, again, what we said yesterday is there's a lot of people who bought this thing on the way down who were down money in it, and they will be looking to sell. So is the bottom in? Yeah, I think the short-term bottom's in at 28.40. So if this come back down in the lower 30s, maybe I'd take another shot at it. I'm not chasing it up $3 here today, though. I think it could go another $1 here this morning, but I think it's a little bit of a high-risk trade. Too high risk for me to take on.
Yeah, there's a high at 35 even and 35.53. Has not hit that in the pre-market yet, so that would be you signal some more continued upside above 35.5, trading up 19 cents in the pre-market. Would not like to see it go red, but that's not too far away. Big range yesterday, but finding resistance in the $35 handle. I mean, if you're really bullish, you're really a believer in this company, then this move should take you back to at least $39-40. You had a little bit over a 20-point drop, so your 50% retracement would take you back up to the $39-40 area. S&P futures are leaking here.
Yeah,
we are now up only two and a half handles here. Someone, Malik, talking about buying Bank of America before the bell. Man, I just can't buy it here at 29.
It's a big move yesterday. I'd like a pullback to like the 28.75, 28.80, and I will probably strike if it does that.
I agree.
I just don't feel like chasing it. Yes, I can move. It might just go straight up. You might not get the shot. But what I've learned is, sure, the odd time I miss a trade, but I'm all about, preserving my capital. And really, if you're buying at 29.05, you kind of got to give it to yesterday's low, at least at 28.22. So you're giving Bank of America like 3%. That's a lot. And it's tough to manage the risk up here at 29.05. But, stocks don't always go straight up. There could be some people have second thoughts here. I'd love it back down 28.75, 28.80. I would strike if it goes there. If it does not, I'll miss the trade. And I'm fine.
And you don't know if sellers are going to reload at 29 as well.
Really leaking.
Yeah, you did that number. Oh yeah, we are now up only $1.50 here, so that makes me a little bit less leaning buying stuff off the open. Dennis, that 28.80 level you mentioned is just one of the intermediate numbers I use. That's also your daily pivot on the day. Also, just be aware in Bank of America here, the 29.09 high from yesterday. You got another high at 29.17 until you find the big sellers at 29.50. So big run yesterday. Not sure what the reason for the drop in the S&Ps. Mark Homer wants to ask about TROV, and I don't know about. Oh, that's a stock. Yeah, it's a low price stock.
Lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Lottery ticket that looks like it's going to zero. I think this one you're going to tear up at the end of it. It was a $160 stock back in 2016, assuming it says Trovagene. I'm assuming this is like a gene therapy drug or stock that hasn't worked out. I mean, sometimes do I short things at 77 cents? Never, because these things can rip your head off. I don't ever short a stock under $2. Usually, unless it's over a very short trade, hardly ever. So, I think this is one that probably goes to zero. More often than not, they do. So I don't know the story, though. If you want to take a shot, just don't put anything except speculative capital in it, because typically these stocks go from $150 down to 77 cents, eventually do go to zero.
Okay, let's just two more stocks for Gordon B, and then we'll go to the imbalances. He's asking about Broadcom here. That stock is on the recovery, just a slow and quiet recovery from that low that it had. At 237.42. I mean, you want to see continuation through yesterday's high of 49.23, and then things really open up into the middle 255 handle. Tight range yesterday, though, for the stock, only $4. So wouldn't like to see it below the low from yesterday. Dennis, any thoughts here on Broadcom?
250 major resistance, got up to 249.23 yesterday. I think this thing struggles at 250. You still got a head and shoulders kicking even from that. So 250, 251, 252, all kinds of resistance here. It's too high now for me to buy it up here because, yeah, you got a couple points upside, but you probably got 8 or 10 points of downside here. So risk reward makes 0 sense for me here on Broadcom. There's a lot prettier charts on that one. So if you were saying I had to trade, I'd actually probably short it. So, but I'd like it short more than around the 250 area. There's just, from the text perspective, there's so many better looking charts out there. It's just not nice. And it's not a nice looking chart from the long side.
And he's also asking about AMAT. That's trying to get off. I can tell you there's one level sticks out to be here, and that's 47.30. You had a trio highs 47.19 through 47.33 at the end of the June. So we're still 80 cents away from that. That's your major resistance. If it can clear that, maybe you get a run up to $50. But first things first, you got to take out 47.30. Dennis, did we get hit with some selling balances there? Maybe
no, nothing.
We were leaking.
We were leaking before that, and the balances are very small. So you've got institutions that are unsure here this morning. So nobody's jumping out and saying, "Well, I want to buy this or sell this." It's quiet out there. This Twitter, there's a small buy-in balance, 40,000 shares. Twitter got annihilated yesterday. We'll talk about that in a second. Maybe we'll talk about that when Nick comes on here. Verizon, 37,000 to sell, small. Those didn't really get hit yesterday. They were down a bit just because the ex-dividend there, so they're still kind of hanging out. But like I said, after the stocks go ex-dividend, they usually show weakness here. So I still would be cautious if I was thinking about buying AT&T and Verizon. I'd lean more on actually shorting them at these prices. You know what? I can't even see. They're all like 10,000 shares here, 10,000 shares here. GE, 89,000 to buy. It showed a little more life there yesterday. But, I mean, overall here, these imbalances are not impactful at all.
Can we go through some ratings?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right,
Start
so
just polishing off.
In no particular order, Fiat Chrysler upgraded at UBS, neutral to buy, FCAU.
Just polish off a whole bunch.
Oh, you want to read a whole bunch? Okay, I can
yeah,
go. All right,
like
10 here we go.
10 or so that strike your fancy.
Okay, well, we mentioned the win. Checkpoint software getting an upgrade from BTIG, neutral to buy. CarMax upgraded from at Morgan Stanley, underweight to overweight. KB Home upgraded Susquehanna, neutral to positive. I guess that's their version of buy. Those were the and Zion, ZION upgraded Raymond James, outperformed to strong buy. Those were the upgrades that caught my eye. Imperva 2, IMPV upgrade at KeyBank, sector weight to overweight. You want me to do downgrades too? There's a lot.
Yeah, let's do them.
Oh, man. Okay. Which ones caught my eye? iRobot catching a downgrade at Raymond James, outperformed to market perform. Chipotle downgrade at Mizuho, neutral to underperform.
Awesome.
eBay, we mentioned already. Biogen catching a downgrade from Baird, outperformed to neutral. AutoNation, Morgan Stanley downgrading it overweight to underweight. Urban downgraded at KeyBank, overweight to sector weight. KeyBank also downgrading Nordstrom, overweight to sector weight, and that's what I got as far as downgrades. So just
a ton of them there. Let's go to the Chipotle one first, because this is a stock that had actually been coming all the way back up, got near the highs it did in June, and now it's down $9 on the downgrade here. You know what? Get back near 450 is probably buyers though, so I don't know if I'm coming here and selling it short. I'm definitely not coming here and selling it short. I might even be a buyer of this on the pullback here as a trade. Not as a long-term investment. I still don't like the story long-term, but 450 as a trade, I don't mind it there.
You had the gap fill from yesterday, which was nice, and went up to 455.20 and took that out by a good point. If you are looking for support here and you want to see what this downgrade is going to do, keep an eye on yesterday's low at 52.76. You got a steep 8-point drop after that to the 445 area. But first things first, let's take out the low from yesterday. Real quick, some news that we missed yesterday. We did cover someone sniffing around in Groupon, and I don't know. I saw it up yesterday, and it came down a little bit. I think we've heard this story before, and you just got to wait for things to develop. trading up 2 cents at 4.85.
What was the story? I don't remember.
They're shopping themselves.
Yeah, the story was that they are looking for a potential buyer.
All right.
No confirmation from the company. It's the same, Baba, IAC are the potential buyers, but no confirmation on that. Those kind of things, if you're buying, you want to see the news come out quickly and get the follow through. If not, if you get the rumor, things don't materialize, they tend to fade.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go grab Nic Chahine. We'll bring him in on the fly and let's talk. We'll talk like the mover from yesterday, which was Twitter. Everybody was talking about, absolutely annihilated in the morning. It bounced back in the afternoon, but I want to know how Nic Chahine was playing this if he was. Nick, were you watching that Twitter move there in the morning? It lost 5 points. That was a crazy move. Were you trading it?
No. Last write-up on Twitter, I shared a long trade that paid quickly and went out of it. So it wasn't an obvious entry point yesterday as it was falling from a technical perspective. First of all, I think the rally was an overreaction to expectations that I don't know if they're going to come. So technically, it was undeniable. From a technical perspective, it was a longer dated, some sort of a cup and handle thing. So I wasn't surprised with the rally, but the fact that they were believing in actual deliveries, I'm not so sure about that. Yes, the use of Twitter is nice. I love the platform itself, and the president surely saved it from that perspective. But I don't know if they're doing anything different on the bottom line. So big question marks through the earnings this time. If I were a betting man, I would probably take puts as a lottery ticket on the earnings.
So you actually would bet on it going down here,
right? And I emphasize bet. I don't know more than anybody else.
Yeah.
I just, I am still floored as to why they don't charge per click for businesses. For example, if you see a Wall Street Journal post and it has video, they're not paying for that, I don't believe. And when you go to click on the Wall Street Journal video, you have to watch an ad from Wall Street Journal. So it's like renting space for free and putting your billboard to advertise your own business on somebody else's lot.
Yeah, why not have Twitter? Twitter make you watch their ad before you can watch their video. That would be smart. You should work at Twitter.
I tweeted that, oddly enough, like years ago. I can make it profitable overnight if you think that Wall Street Journal will pay for the click, whatever it is, pennies. I'm sure they will. I mean, that's the Google model, right?
Yeah, well, they do. I mean, there's other ways to monetize it there too. I like the story. It's just always been a valuation issue for me. It's interesting though, because usually when a stock's go down $4 or $5, I think, I bet you Nick's going to write some puts. But you're a little bit scared on this one.
Well, it's not that big a dip given the rally it had.
Right.
So I'll give you a 5-year view on it, which is a weekly chart, and you'll see clearly the cup and handle and how the dip yesterday was not an obvious point of entry for me. This is my personal taste, given I have a bias in it as to I don't believe the internals are as good as people think they are.
Let's jump over to Tesla, which is having a big move here this morning. It kind of ran a little bit yesterday. Today, we get news that they might be building a production facility in China, and the stock is up another 9 points here. Give us your thoughts on TSLA. We kind of, sold off significantly after they hit those, production targets, and everybody thought it was going to go up. They pulled the rug out from under them, went from 360 to under 300, washed everybody out from under 300. Now we're back at 327 here. Yeah. Full disclosure, I'm still long Tesla as a swing trade. What are your thoughts here, though, TSLA, and what should I do with my long?
Okay, so Tesla, when it last bottomed a few weeks ago, we went long, and I got out a little early, but it was a nice profit. I'm not going to complain. 3 days ago, the candle was pretty bullish. They rejected the tail emphatically, and they left the tail and rejected the low on 7.5, and they bounced nicely. Right. And I said, let's go long. And I put two things on the chart that I shared with you, a box below for somebody that wants to sell puts or put spread, and a bar above for somebody that wanted to buy calls. It's probably $15 higher. I don't know where it's at this morning. Since then,
it's 327.
Yeah. So if somebody did both, they could probably close the puts or put spreads, and now they'd be writing the calls for free. and then they choose their exit points. I personally did not take the trade, but I did share it just because it didn't fit my portfolio. So it was a good call there. From here, it's just based on your faith with the stock. So if you want to trim and leave runners, that'd be fine. But this is a fast move. It's a momentum stock.
Yeah.
So once it moves one way, it tends to carry a little bit. So I exited early last time, so don't ask me what to do with your stock.
I exit everything early. That's always
me too. I need to sit on my hands more often.
I had that for 20 years. I made a lot of trades here, and I always exit too early. So
but it's better this way.
I'll give you an example of exiting way too early because I'm like a short-term scalper for the most part. So most of these trades I'm in, there's, for 10, 20 cents sometimes. I shorted XLU. Yesterday, I even said it in our chat. I was like, I think, utility is going to have a tough day here today. It opened flat. XLU opened at 53.16 on a day the market was hot, and I thought money was going to roll out of that sector. I shorted the open, and I was up 20 cents in like 20 seconds, it felt like. It just came right in. And I'm like, man, XLU usually moves 30, 40 cents is a good day for it. So I got up 25, 30 cents in this thing, and I started like, I was up at like 3 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I'm booking this profit. And then just it collapsed all day. And I was like, holy cow, I exited way too soon. Shorted not even 1 penny of heat. And there it is, and it's down $1.50. I did not see that candle coming.
Biggest candle in over a year, probably.
Well, yeah, like I thought that, usually I thought it was going to have a down move. So I thought, you look at an average candle, it's usually 20, 30 cents for that thing, sometimes 40 cents. I did not see $1.50 down move come.
It's interesting what it's going to do here because this is a pivot point. That's kind of the neckline from which they broke out the last bit of it. But they repriced it all in one candle. So, oof. Yeah,
that was an ugly day for it anyways. But yeah, I shorted the very top of that candle, covered way too soon. So just telling you.
I know. It's like people say, well, if you bought Bitcoin a few years ago, you'd have like 25 million% or something. I was like, I would have gone out at 110%.
Yeah, me too. What else on your radar here, Nick? I mean, this market has come a long ways back. Now we're starting to get a little bit approaching the old resistance points we struggled at in June. I mean, if you think about, 279.33, 279.48, we had multiple highs there in June. Now we come all the way back up here. Do you think we struggle at those highs again?
So coming into the recent rally, the last couple of days, we've had upside pressure in the open interest. So now with yesterday's rally, we have more of a little bit of downside pressure, but still room to move in either direction. The small caps is uncommitted that way. So what I do on days like this is book some profits and some winners and leave some runners and see if I can snipe entries into something else that's been beaten up. So I have profits in Adobe, I had profits in Oracle, and INTU, now I can't remember, Intuit. So I tried to close some of those. Mostly they were credit put spreads and some calls. I'd rather sell than buy. So anytime I see something that's beaten up, I'd like to sell into somebody else's fears rather than buy upside hopium. So that's what I do on days like today. But we have room to do either. And technically, I thought that 2782 ish to 84 would bring 95, and we were almost there this morning. And if that happens, 2800 and above, I think 22 and then 65 are my bogeys up top. But I know Joel and I are going back and forth between new highs or retest the lows. I still say we see new highs and retest the lows from the March debacle. So the argument is, where's the low? Which low is he talking about?
Well, the argument is that we're much closer to going to the all-time high than we are the February lows.
But when we were talking, we were closer to 2,700. And to me, it's a point in time. So back when we had the highs and the lows, they were so close together. That's where I draw the line. So regardless, I think that the S&P not making new high is, but we had two different indices that actually did make new highs. So we're splitting hairs. Yep. It's a bullish market without nasty headlines. No one can deny it. And if somebody denies it, they're in denial. That's my opinion. If there were no news and you're looking at P&Ls, you wouldn't be selling many. That's a, from a perspective of value and potential upside on the P&L basis, given all the advantages we have. So if I turn off and don't read any news other than the business itself for that sector and that company, I wouldn't be selling Apple up here.
No, Nick, I agree. And you've, we've been going back and forth on it, and your bullishness has definitely, tempered me and helped me out in definitely a lot of positions last month. So I really, really appreciate it. Nick, I just want to ask you something. You said like put spreads. I mean, what kind of market is there in those things? I mean, do you just have to pick a price, just go in there and leave the order in there? Or, are they pretty liquid if, you want to do a put spread on a Tesla or a Netflix there? How's the liquidity?
It depends on the ticker, but most of the major tickers, it's very liquid. I mean, if I look, I don't even look at bid and ask on the tickers I do, because I know it's going to be somewhere around the mid. There are a few exceptions like Priceline, Booking. It is tricky. IBB is tricky. If I do any of the ETFs that are like a USO, or I forget which are the other ones, the money ones. Anyway, they tend to be, if you're not in the money, you're wasting your time. So on USO, anytime I want to play it, instead of going out and say, okay, I'm going to sell puts here and there, or if I want to buy puts or calls here and there, I'd rather buy in the money. But from selling puts on names like Apple, et cetera, or even the SPX or SPY, very, very liquid. And the mid, or the middle between bid and ask, is where it's going to fall. And I rarely leg into a spread if I'm selling it. So people try to get cute with that. I got bid a few times a long, long time ago. So I prefer to enter the spread as a spread, whether diagonal, calendar, vertical, regardless. I do it as one.
Okay, Nick. Also, all right, two questions here. One, man, help me out on the financials here. Yesterday was the data strike. Looked like Bank of America. I know you like to play the pre-earnings run-up here. Now that I kind of feel I missed a huge move yesterday. SPOOs are moving around. I still want to kind of get on the Bank of America or some of the financials here ahead of their reports. How would you approach it?
Okay, so the way I approached it is I sold puts into other people's fear. This was like the easiest put I can sell. They were selling at or below book, at or below 13 PE trailing. It was a blind put sale where I didn't put much thought in it. I sold Citigroup puts at 55, and I collected over $1 for that, or just $1 for that. In fact, I think I had a batch of $1.35, and I shared it with the gang. And now they're like 65 cents. They were lower. So this is the time where I take the bulk out and leave runners into the uncertainty of the earnings. Now, playing the earnings in banks, it's somewhat of a special situation. So here's how I can do it. There are a couple that report this week. I think Wells Fargo is one of them.
Yep.
So to trade JPM, if it reports this week, I'll play it with Goldman Sachs because they're going to move together. But if I buy calls, for example, in Goldman Sachs and JPM disappoints, they're both going to fall. But the premium and the calls in Goldman will still have some meat on them because the event for Goldman hasn't gone by yet. Whereas the whatever calls I bought in JPM are going to be dead if I guess the wrong direction.
Strategy. Yep. Save yourself a little bit of the premium there.
Right. Or you can throw a blanket with the XLF. This way you can have some premium throughout the events of the next few days after that. And I think, Wells Fargo is the black sheep of the family, right? So why not it's surprising to the upside more than anybody else?
Yeah, that has performed extremely well since the stress test. I think that's probably the best looking chart I've seen since the stress test. Nick, we've had a nice rally here, and we're at the recent highs of the move. Is there still any stocks you like or anything that you feel play catch up here to the market? That's Grant Wilkerson wants to know, what stocks do you like?
I think the industrials, so you can either throw a blanket with XLI or DIA because they're one and the same almost. So think CAT. I think they had a good day yesterday. Boeing, all of the China trades, Now, I have to caveat this that it's been a frustrating trade. So the better bet would be probably the small caps from that perspective, because they're going to rise if the whole market rises, but they're going to hold up better if we get another bad China news. But on that note, I think Trump on Friday or Thursday night dialed up the rhetoric to the max. In other words, he said, well, the tariffs are going to go into effect on 7/6, and the world didn't end, by the way. And not only that, and he said, all 500 billion that we import from China is on the line. So that's it. We dialed it up to the max. There's no more billions to put on tariffs. So what's the next headline that's going to be on there? From that perspective, I am optimistic. But the XLI, for example, which will probably include Cat, Boeing, and a few other of the big names in there, and they're in the direct line of fire of that. So that probably will be the biggest spring back. So I'm holding calls for DIA since yesterday, and they're green. So today I may trim them a little bit just because they've been so disappointing. You can't bank on them holding up.
We've been on the line with Nic Chahine. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spreads. He joins the show every Tuesday to give his fundamental and technical thoughts on the market. Nick, it's going to be a couple weeks. I'm going to be out next week. So Spencer and Dennis are going to be running the show. So speak to you in a couple weeks. And thanks for your input. Everybody in the pre-market chat as well as the Google chat really enjoys when you come on the show. Thanks a lot.
I love the show, and have a good time on your vacay. Mine is coming up in a couple of weeks. I'll let you know when.
Thanks, Nick.
S&P futures rebounded back in the 90 handle, trading up $4 at 27.9150. Interesting open here because we've had a nice range. We've had an 11-point range, and we're going to open up mid-range. So right now, 27.92. That's the key. I'm looking at to clear that, to go back up and test the pre-market high. If the sellers can dig in here at 27.92, maybe go down and test that pre-market low, just under the close of 87.50 at 86.25. Dennis, we did a ton of earnings. We didn't cover many of the technicals on them. Is there anyone, anyone?
Ratings. Ratings. So go back. We talked Chipotle. There was another one in there, though. You said right before Chipotle, Spencer.
iRobot?
Right before
let's go to iRobot. That's an interesting one here. I had this on my shopping list at one time, and I was like, you know what? This robotic vacuums. And it got down in the lower 60s, and I was like, and from a valuation perspective, it wasn't that bad then. I was like, is it just, so they come out with some robots vacuum their floors. Are really, really that big of a tech company here or not? Anyways, it's come back. I wish I would have bought it in the lower 60s. So I thought about it for a long time. I never pulled the trigger, and it was down there in the lower 60s for the better part of 6 months. So now it's starting to show some life. Now it's coming back down here with a downgrade here. But you know what? All kinds support 75 to 76 here now. So hard to get bearish here, even though it's getting downgrade here today. I think, there's buyers in the 75, 76 area. And who knows? I may even be one of them.
Yeah, this one, I took it off my radar here. It got slammed after earnings and just had a nice run up here, down $2.41. So, you got to think about it. People are maybe taking some profits here off that big run. I'll take a look at your pre-market. It's just hanging out near the pre-market low. It's just that big candle from 3 days ago just makes me think that I should maybe hold out for 76.50 area. Your 3-day low is 76.42. So went up quickly through that area. Could easily come back down quickly through that area. 80.26, that was a low from yesterday. That will fill the gap. Dennis will continue with the ratings parade, but Amdel in the Google chat wanted you to comment on BIIB, Biogen. And I think yesterday was an interesting day because it did go back up. It did keep going back up. It's down today. I'd be a little concerned here. This is going to give some back.
I would not buy it up here. I'm in it long-term investment portfolio. I've sold the trade. I had it for a trade on. I have sold it. It's getting downgraded here this morning. I mean, as long as I guess it's holding above that 340.55 low, which is the low from 2 days ago, I guess you can lean on that. Below 340, then again in the gap. I think it was absolutely ridiculous that it rallied 60 points on that news. I almost wanted to. It rallied so much that I almost wanted to sell my long-term investment in this, and I've been in this for 6 years. So I didn't do it, but I really wanted to. And it took all of my strength to not sell my long-term investment. So that's how much I wanted to sell into that strength. Sold the trade, held the long-term investment. Just got I'm in from like $49. And I'm like, you know what? I sold part of the money. I'm playing complete with the house's money here on this. I'm probably going to stick with it. But I think, the move was ridiculous. I don't think that was worth 50 or 60 points. I thought it might be worth 10 or 20 points. When I originally bought that thing, as a trade, I was thinking, maybe this goes up 10 or 20. I did not think it was going to go up 35, let alone 65. That was ridiculous, in my opinion. So not surprising it's starting to leak here a little bit. But the sector is back in favor here now. And the stock is still, from a valuation perspective, still pretty cheap. So that's the arguments on the bull side. But, I mean, even the CEO, when he came on and talked on CNBC about that drug, he was saying it's still early. There's still only phase 2. Still a long ways to go here before you get approval. But the market is buzzing because, hey, somebody's getting an Alzheimer's drug potentially to phase 3 here. And that doesn't happen very often. So it's exciting. I mean, if they can get a drug through, fantastic. I'd love to see that happen. But I'm still skeptical that it does. And that's why I think you're going to have some disappointment maybe down the road here in this stock when it doesn't meet phase 3. It might just fall 30 or 40 points, but that's a long ways away. So I can't argue with you. If you're long, I would not want to be long below 340, though, because then it starts getting the gap area and then it can start to fall quickly.
Now, this is I believe this is a different Alzheimer drug than the one that they had in March of 2015.
It is. There's 2 of them on the go.
Yeah. So I just want to alert our traders and investors, and I remember this day because I remember doing the show. The day that it made an all-time high at 480.18, and it closed the previous day at 409.59, went to 480.18 that day, closed at 422.24, and that was the all-time high. And that's when, there was a lot of other things going on in the bio.
That was the positive news on an Alzheimer's drug?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I did not remember that.
Yeah. Well, I went.
How do you remember that? You remember doing the show that was 2014?
2015. Joel has the memory, man. This guy remembers.
Yeah.
He's like an elephant. He just remembers.
More like a mule. More like a mule. I'm really stubborn, but no, that was the news that day, and I totally agree with you. Like, if you're trying to hold on to this long term, and it starts to get under 340.55, what are you going to lean on? What are you going to lean on?
There's
nothing there.
If I was in this for a trade, I already did. I was in it for a trade. I rang the register. The only reason I'm holding is I've had it for so long, and I still don't mind the valuation here. So I still like the long-term story. I still think aging population. I still think when I look at Biogen 10 years from now, I've had it for 7. I'm planning on holding at least for probably until, I was planning on holding a lot of these stocks till I was 55 or 60 if they, the story continues to work. So, looking 13 or 14 years out here, I think Biogen's higher. That's why I'm sticking with the long-term portfolio. But as a trade, man, that was a gift.
And I just want to, this was for Amdel here. I just want to mention that the day before that news came out, it traded 750,000. On Friday, it traded nearly 13 million. Yesterday, the volume backed off again to 4 million. So it declined. It's like, where are the buyers coming from? Who's going to be buying? What institutions, what big players, to me, are going to be initiating along to $350 with a lot of, committing a lot of capital. So that's just, there's still buyers, there's still sellers at every trade, but you had that big volume day and went down on a small volume day. I just think it may be running out of buyers.
What's running out of buyers, Joel?
What?
Pepsi. Where are you guys? Tell its turn. It was like 111.5 to 110.39 starting.
And look where it went.
Below 110, look out 108. So I'm still sticking on the. I did not put the position on here yet. Kind of kicking myself. I didn't sell us on the 111s, but I didn't notice that it had started to roll over here. So we are rolling over here now. A lot of volume, 241,000 shares. It's a good quarter, but the sector is out of favor here now. I think you're going to have some big institutional money coming after 9:30 and ring the register here. I don't even know if it's going to open over 110.
The just whole number theory. You can use it, get run over a lot. 110 didn't hold, 111 didn't hold, but 112 did.
What was the high here?
112.21.
Oh wow, it really went up.
Yeah, it did, and now it's coming back down. You just you got a gap fill, as Dennis talked about, To reach yesterday's high, you need to reach 109.30, and your close is way below that at 107.76. Dennis, any closing thoughts here? We're still in the green here. We had that little dip trading in the middle of the pre-market range. Any final thoughts heading into the session?
Tricky day. We had a big run yesterday. We're trying to follow through here. I feel like we, almost want to give it back, though. All the leaders here are still holding on, though. So it's a day where jury is very much out here. There's not a lot of obvious trades. I will say I'm a seller of all utilities and consumer staples on rallies, though. I believe that the top was put in on all of these stocks yesterday morning. And, XLU obviously is a little more obvious than that one. But stocks like Procter & Gamble, Coke is bouncing back here with the Pepsi earnings. I'm a seller of this Coke rally. I will try to be short Coke here probably. I would love Coke to get in the upper 44s. I do not think that is going to happen. I'm going to have to be earlier than that, I think. But even at 44.60, it looks like a good price to me. I want to play the short side on the consumer staples and the short side on the utilities if they bounce at all today.
Okay, Spencer.
Pfizer too. Pfizer too. Pfizer.
It's a big seller, right?
Here, 175,000 shares to buy in Pfizer. That's a big one. That's a big sell order. You know what? That could set up that we can open up at like 37.40, give you a shot. That nice seller at 37.50. I kind of like the setup here. So I like Pfizer short. It got up to 37.47 yesterday. Maybe we could put a double top it up there. I like Pfizer short in the 37.40s too. So I like some setups here from the short side on the more defensive consumer staples. Pfizer's, as a little more of a defensive stock too. It's a pharmaceutical stock, which has been hot, but it's big pharma. And there was a Trump tweet yesterday that was negative for it. It didn't sell off much, but I still think you get into the 37.40s. I think it's a sell.
I would just add, as I wrap up, I'm going to throw up the Benzinga Pro ratings calendar on the screen. On days like today, when we have just like 50 or 100 notable ratings, this is the day to use the calendar like this. So I've got the Pro calendar on the screen. This is just a list of all the ratings that we've got in there right now. There's like 100 in there, not 100, but there's at least 50. And if you're trying to keep track of all your ratings today, it's really hard when there's so many to keep track of. And as we head into earnings season, there's only going to be more. But this is the resource I was reading off of during the show. So just wanted to highlight that real quick. But that's going to be it for our show today, folks. So thank you to Nic Chahine for joining us. Thank you to everyone in our chats on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com, our main chat room that is going throughout the day, before, during, and after the show there. If you want to catch any part of today's show again, you can do so. Just rewatch the show on Benzinga's YouTube channel or go to the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, or in the Google Play Store. Again, that's going to be it for us. Everyone have a good day. Hope you join us again on Wednesday.